I always, wherever I've been in the world, I've gone out like every day, like it's part of, I have to do that. And now I understand that's really part of my well-being, but it's become like a deepening intimacy and expansiveness. Like, so it's my guide, it's my source, it's my inspiration, it's my friend. It's yeah, just like kind of everything to me.
So I went to an ICF accredited program through George Mason University, and it's focused on well-being, but it's about all the ICF, pieces. And when I was there, someone mentioned walking coaching. That's a thing. And then I started looking into it a little bit more, and somebody said, "Well, I know somebody who does hiking coaching out in Oregon." Oh my gosh, that's it. I mean, I didn't even have to think about it. I mean, I've had to think about it since. How do I make this work? But the idea, the concept of taking people outdoors for coaching, just completely, I connected with that idea.
I actually lost contact with nature for a while, especially when I was working in corporate, and that I gradually got ill while working in corporate. And it was only when I had the good luck to have a physician that said, you just have to go outside a lot, don't sweat it. I'm not going to prescribe you any medication, just go outside. That's when I remembered, when my body remembered, that's really where I want to be, where I need to be healthy, to feel good, and to spend as much time as possible.
And that's actually where the click was for me. I was outside, I was connecting with my body, and my body was telling me what to do. And I was like, that's it for me.
So it's always been with me. Water, the love of water, being in, on, around water has always been there, walking through woods and climbing trees from an early age, and encouraging my son to do that when he got to that age. So it's just always been with me.
And it was during my training that I had quite a profound spiritual experience, if you like. And I sensed that nature was offering to be my co-partner in coaching and supervision. And so I always frame my work now around nature inviting me or inviting us into the space. And that deep relationship is how I've evolved nature as a co-partner in my practice.
When I'm outdoors coaching and well, just generally I'm outdoors, I just find it so invigorating and energizing to be outdoors. It's at the same time as being relaxing, which I think is kind of one of those combinations that we bring in the coaching. So I think the same thing I find that the people that I'm coaching feel, many of them arrive really quite stressed. And I can tell as we start walking, their pace is really kind of quite fast, and gradually they start to slow down a bit as they start to relax, but it's relaxed in an energized way. And that then affects how their thoughts about everything that we're talking about.
For me, it's that feeling of having forward momentum. I think if you're coaching indoors, you're stuck in one place, and often, that's a metaphor for how we feel when we're working through a coaching problem. Often we feel stuck. So I think as soon as you add that element of movement to it feels like you're already on your way to a solution. It is quite metaphorical.
And the element of movement was fascinating in the research, because people describe using pace to reflect their emotions, and you can't necessarily do that indoors in the way you can outdoors because of the space and the openness and the expanse. So people described stomping off when they had something really, something that was really challenging that they didn't really want to think about, but they weren't sort of, really challenging themselves, or, they had a really kind of tricky thing to kind of get right in their mind. And then their pace would slow when they were being reflective. So as they were reflective, they were slowing their pace down, and there was more kind of a gentle movement.
I think already there's this recognized benefit that when we are in nature, literally our brain waves change. We can experience more more balance?
One of my mantras is take the mind back to the body and the body back to the mind. And when you are in nature, your whole mind-body system is exposed to such a rich variety of sensory inputs that accessing the power of somatic knowledge is easier, in my experience, because you feel pleasure, you feel something is expanding and opening from inside of you, because of course we breathe better in nature than in an indoor setting.
You know, I just love being outside, and I think over time and all my life, I've learned and loved in a way to be outside and to be with the weather or the season, whatever it is, and to love what's there. You know, there's something in every season and in every weather that is just wonderful as it is and meets us where we are. I always like to say that every weather, every season meets us exactly where we are.
We know the benefits of being in nature and how good it is for mental and physical well-being and relaxation and regaining focus and all that. But you can do that just going out in nature. That has nothing really to do with coaching. There's something else happening when you coach.
I'm never not surprised by what coachees come up with themselves. So that's one thing I did learn massively this year is trust the environment to give them some thinking. I don't have to have all the prompts and all the answers and all the, you know, look at this and think about that. Actually, an awful lot of it does come from the coachee. They'll look at things and just notice stuff that you couldn't even imagine.
And you as a coach and then you as an outdoor coach is really personal. And I think that's the beauty of being a coach and the beauty of being an outdoor coach, is that we all bring so many different skills and experience and knowledge to the party. We are all really, really different. And I think that for me is something that the podcast has really shown. As we've interviewed so many different people, it shows we all have our own style, we all have our own approach. There is no one way of outdoor coaching.
The first group of Blue Health coaches that I trained, we came across a chap who'd broken his leg on the coast path. That was great. That took an hour and a half out of the day. So that was, but in terms of teamwork and compassion, we had a great conversation around compassion and dealing with interruptions and how do you integrate interruptions.
So we were taken to, for example, a waterfall. And I remember Dr. King Lee actually asking us with safety in mind to get as close to the waterfall as possible, because the negative ions that are created by water falling on rocks is beneficial for our health. We were asked to lie down on a platform of, a sort of a stage made of wood and look up into the canopy. The Japanese call this phenomenon komorebi, or what we know as dappled light, and to close our eyes and to experience the shadows across your closed eyelids. That is known to calm down our nervous system.
When our daughter was very ill with an eating disorder, the most effective coaching she had, the most effective conversations we had were when we were outside walking. And when we came to write a book about that experience, she said to me, "Mum, when I was outside, I didn't hear the voices the way I heard the voices inside."
I don't do mindfulness, but one of the practices from my childhood, from the old ways, is what we call stillness. And it's just a case of being still, definitely having your eyes open, not shut, so that you're aware of the bird that just landed in that tree. You're aware of the way the leaves are blowing. And you watch the rushes and the reeds and you see that, oh my goodness, there's a little mouse ran across there. So it's just really letting nature in.
Yeah, so it's a really different school. So we're often stuck inside. And so just by, as I said, it just happened organically, I guess, because we started to realize through networking, the formalized network, the impact that going outdoors was having on people's ability to think and truly reflect was having. So I kind of started taking some people outdoors one-to-one and realizing, hey, this is really good. People just calm down. It's like this, they're really stressed. They come to the coaching conversation like, oh my gosh, this happened, and this student just did this, and I'm running late from this. And it's a highly fast-paced school. It's different to most schools because of the way the environment that we're in. And often I'll just go, okay, let's just put the books down. We're going outside. And as soon as you step outside, and by the time you get to the first traffic light, it's like everything's calm, and change. Mind you, as I said, it's a city environment. It's not like we're going out into the bush, but it's different to that high rise up and down.
That's a big thing for us to, to really think about how we're showing up in the world and what influence we're, giving, right? Because if I'm a coach who's like flying off around the world several times a year and driving a big, I don't know, gas guzzling car or something, and then I'm talking about connecting to nature, that is disconnected in itself, I think.
I just thought, why don't we have this day, and launched by Coaching Work, but not owned by Coaching Work was my thing, where we've designated this little space where people can, if maybe they're already doing wonderful things and they can share some of that, some tasters or whatever, or they can just have a play on that day or around that day. So we've had people who have never sort of worked with the climate issue in their coaching, but they're offering pro bono coaching, saying, if you want to explore this topic, come and approach me and we'll do something as part of the initiative. So it was meant to be really inviting and also kind of be like a, so to inspire and promote coaching around this theme, but almost like an umbrella where people had lots of umbrella organisation, almost like there's lots of voices can come forth. Because everyone does it differently, I feel.
Now, because coaching outdoors is becoming quite a popular topic and there's a big movement into coaching outdoors, I hear things like, somatic experience, nested cycles, role in the universe. And I think if you're a coach that's never stepped out the door and had a conversation with somebody walking around the park, that's quite daunting, and it can be quite, it can create quite a barrier, I think, because for some coaches, they're wondering, do I need to take a rucksack? Do I need to take pen and paper? What do I do with my thing? Because when I'm with somebody in the office, I might be writing notes. How do I do that when I'm outside? How do I contract for what happens if it rains? Or how do I contract for, should I take them up a hill or should I just take them a walk around the park?
I really started to notice what a difference it made, not just to me in terms of my presence as a coach, but how quickly clients were able to open up and feel safe and feel stimulated actually by the environment.